100 days ago, I started programming this game. It's a game in a tiny universe with many different planets, and the player can run around these planets in order to fight enemies, find items, and use the items to craft. There's also bosses for each biome, and my goal is to make this a proper game and release it on Steam. However, I have never released a game on Steam, and as I started programming this game, I only had 7 months of programming experience. And to be honest, I kinda underestimated how much work it was going to be to program a whole game. And I knew this game was not gonna be so easy, but I still underestimated it a little bit. You see, the problem with my game is that normally other games have gravity that goes straight down. But in my game, if gravity were to just go straight down, the player would fall off the planet, and that wouldn't work. Instead, what I need to do is make the gravity always go from the player to the planet center. And to be honest, that is not that difficult. But what was difficult is trying to handle the rotation of the player. Because in every game, characters just stand up straight. But in my game, I need to rotate the player in order to be relative to where the floor is. I need to do this for every entity, but also for things that I spawn, and even calculating the player dash, I needed to make it so that the dash does not go in a straight line, but around the edge of the planet that the player is standing on. And as you might have guessed, all of these things took a lot of time, and that was why I nearly thought about giving up on this project. However, I really think that this project has potential, because this game is unique. We only really know Mario Galaxy as a similar game. However, Mario Galaxy is more like a jump and run game, and this game is more like Minecraft, where you farm for items and craft, and then you slay enemies, which is more like other games again. And this video is actually about how my 100-day journey went. So let's start from day 1, where we have exactly this much. Yeah, it's not a lot. I never said I had much when I started out, right? That's how you begin. So I added a gray sphere and a capsule in order to simulate a planet and a player. And I wanted to try if I could actually make the movement work. And honestly, this was really tough. It took me 1.5 weeks to just make the basic movement of the player work. And through this 1.5 weeks, I was already considering giving up. Because, you know, bro, 1.5 weeks? That's insane. But it's what it is. And to be honest, after this 1.5 weeks, when I finally had the movement done, I was really happy, because I was like, bro, this might actually be doable. And then I made the planet green, added some grass, some trees, and some rocks. And here you can see my first test after 2.5 weeks of collecting wood and stone. It was really epic. I was so proud at this point. It was really nice. So while I was high on life, I decided to add the player graphics because it would look even better, but then a problem arose. The player just started to float randomly. I don't know why, I really don't know. I just knew that I was super pissed. I spent 1.5 weeks on the movement for the player, and now suddenly it just didn't work anymore. It was really scary. And it was at that point where programming this whole game got really hard. I couldn't solve this issue, and I knew I just needed to try, but it took so long, like it took multiple days, and then I decided to also work on some other stuff. I was like, okay, I need to stop working on this, because after some days of not being able to fix it, you get to this weird state where you need to focus on some other stuff. Like you need to collect the win somewhere else. So I decided to work on the inventory system, the crafting system, I made some improvements on the player, and I added a building system. To be honest, this was really amazing, because I've never done an inventory system or a crafting system before, neither a building system, but I couldn't fully celebrate all of these wins because the player would just randomly float again while playtesting the game. And that was really so annoying. And I thought, do I need to give up this game? But then, one fateful day when I was sitting on the toilet, I was watching a guy on YouTube where he showed off how he did the Mario Galaxy movement, and I looked into his code and I found the way that he handled the movement. And it kind of made me think. The reason why gravity probably didn't work in my game was because when I press to the right, for example, then I would send the player to the right. At the same time, gravity would push the player down. However, the way that I wrote the script had a chance to override the down movement, so the player would only go to the right and then slowly levitate off. I really don't know why it only sometimes happens, and even if you don't press anything at all, the gravity would not catch him anymore. But because I watched this video, I figured out how I could rewrite the movement, and then I finally made it work. And honestly, this was the best moment in this whole game, like in the whole process of making this game. So far, this was the greatest moment. Maybe letting people playtest my game, which we were gonna see in a sec, was also very cool. However, this moment, it was really awesome. It was really cool. So I had a big win and I needed this win under my belt. And I decided that I should move on. It was time to finally work on a second planet. I created a mining planet with some iron and some more stone and a little bit of gold. And I was like fully at it and also made my first enemy. The game was going great and I thought that I should soon let some people play test the game. However, I first wanted to add a bonfire. Why do I want to add a bonfire? Well, I thought it's cool if you have enemies to have a bonfire where you could heal up, right? Enemies damage you and then you heal up at the bonfire. However, I did not really have health like at all in my game. So why have a bonfire? But I don't know, I just wanted to make a bonfire, so here it is, bonfire. Very nice. And it looks cool, right? Like it's not that bad. Bonfire, man. Great thing. Yeah. And now with a bonfire, surely I would add the health bar, but nope. Instead, I thought it was time to do my first Blender creation and create these awesome looking slime boots. And the player could not even equip any items yet, so I also made these armor slots, and now the player can equip the boots and jump higher. Nice. And at that point, I had been working on this game for 70 days. I was really getting kinda low energy, like not enough energy anymore, and that's why I thought it was time to show some friends the game. But before I could show this game to anyone, I would have to finally add the health for the player. So that was what I did. I also added some mushrooms which the player could eat in order to instantly gain health, because it was also time to add the first boss. I named him the Slime King. He was just a normal slime, 5 times the size, with much more health and much more damage, but he did his first job, which was intimidate the players. Amazing. And here you can see a friend of mine trying out the game. He's totally enjoying it and totally not hating the fact that I left an error inside the boss's script and he couldn't kill the boss. So he was kind of tilted, but I think that overall he really enjoyed this game. And this was also really cool to see for me, because it kind of gave me motivation. It was so fun to see him play the game, and we together were reflecting of what else I could do for the game. And he was like really like, bro, this is the first game where I honestly feel like you can go somewhere with this. And that was a great compliment. Love to you, my man. So with the feedback ready and motivation filled up, I decided to add some sounds to the game. I made the resources respawn randomly, and I added a toon shader to the game, which I think actually fits the game pretty well. And at this point we're nearly getting close to the 100 days. But this game is not really a game yet. It's more of like a simulator of some item collecting game, and it doesn't really fully go towards its uniqueness. You see, when you program a game, you want to try to double down on what makes the game unique. And that was why I added the meteorites. Meteorites circle around the planets, and you can use them to jump in between and to the next planets. And I think they have great potential. They kind of add this puzzle element to them, but I also feel like we can do something more, like add ranged enemies to the meteorites, or make meteorites that start breaking if you're on them for too long. Or maybe there is a lava planet and the floor is hot and you can only stand on it for 10 seconds, and by then you need to jump onto the next meteorite in order to dodge the damage. If you have any ideas for these planets, it would be awesome to hear them. I would really love to implement some great ideas that you might have. And please don't forget to subscribe, because it would help me out a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing you again, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.